the organization and your efforts to try to create a national consciousness through this organization to somehow seize all of this gun violence. Let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Frank for allowing us to come together. We've done several events at his church. Just last night we did an event representing Gina 6 at his church. We had a candlelight prayer ceremony where it was God was in the house. I mean, it was so overwhelming, bringing different ethnical backgrounds together, and it was just amazing. And I want to thank you for that, because through the churches, as well as letting God be our leader, we're going to make this happen. With the ceasefire, the national ceasefire against gun violence, what we're going to also have at Pastor Stevenson Church, St. Luke Primitive Baptist Church, we want every family who's been affected by murder due to gun violence to come out. We want you to bring 5x7 photocopies of your loved ones. These copies will be sent to President Bush. We want our president to know that we're having our loved ones 9, 10, 11 years of age dying by this gun violence. So we want to get the president involved.
That'll be a national conscience. The national conscience.
Exactly.
That's right.
And after that, you know, we're going to rejoice. I have a mother coming from Baltimore, Maryland, by the name of Kimberly Armstrong, whose son was murdered September 27, 2004 in Baltimore, Maryland. She's doing the same type of efforts that I'm doing here in Nashville and Baltimore, so she's going to be our guest speaker. But we want everyone to come out. We want people who have been affected to come out and join us. You know, we want you to bring your children. This is a time to educate. This is a time for us to sit down and say, hey, you know, if your child is involved with any type of negativity, or may not be involved in type of negativity, where there may be some gun violence or a gun around, that could take your child's life.
Very easy.
And we want to make sure that they understand that.
And of course, Reverend Stevenson, you've opened your church to this activity. Talk about that, your justification and your motivation behind that.
Absolutely. Our church has been there for over 140 years. We have been in the community and a part of the community, and we believe in partnerships and reaching outside of those four walls. And so we're excited about the opportunity to open up our doors and sharing this experience of standing together for such a cause. And you know, we're really saying as a church, we're saying as a community that we want to be proactive and not just reactive. And so we're saying we want to step up to the plate and challenge the consciousness of our fellow Nashvilleians, our fellow Tennesseans, and the consciousness of this United States and the president of these United States. And we're saying that we're not giving up on our young people. And I think Gina 6 was an example of that, where an entire community says we're just not going to give up on our young people. The statistics suggest that there are more African-American men of a certain age group that are incarcerated than in college. And so we simply say those things just should not be. And so we're gonna continue to work to change those directions. We're challenging, just like we're challenging Gina to release our young men and treat them fairly. We're challenging the consciousness of those young men to move to the next level. And so that's what this is all about, and that's why we feel it's imperative for us to be a part of this movement.
And I think it starts with our other young black males seeing people like myself and Frank doing something positive. You know, they could make that change. It's going to be up to all of us sitting here, including yourself, Dr. Haney, to make that difference with our young black men. And I know we can do it.
That's what we talk about when we talk about mentoring. That if every responsible person, be he African American or whatever, became involved in this kind of thing and thought in terms of trying to at least serve an example for some of these young people, I think that we might be able to sort of turn this thing. We've got to turn around, because on this show, we've been talking about this same problem for the last 20 years. The last 20 years, it seems, and it seems to be getting worse than it is getting better. And I don't want to be pessimistic about it, but you know, I think it's time for us as a nation to rise up and do it. Now, another thing that has to be said in reference to this, I think Reverend Stevenson has already indicated the importance of education, but we also have to deal with some of these individuals dealing with jobs. I mean, we need some economic reinforcement in some of these areas to give these young people an opportunity.
You know what, Dr. Haney? The first law of nature is self-preservation. and which simply says, I want to survive, and I'll do what I need to do to survive. And if surviving means harming you so that I can continue to stay, then that's human nature. But hopefully we don't get to that point where you have to harm someone else to survive. But the problem is, in these communities, in our communities, that law of self-preservation is what's happening, because there's not money, there's not those opportunities, and so they feel like, you know, the only way some of them feel that sense of hopelessness, where the only way I can get is if I take from you. And oftentimes me taking from you will cost you your life, or it may cause me my life. So a lot of times when you see violence, a lot of times it's associated, when they say drug-related, a lot of times it's associated with robbery. In other words, you have something that I want.
$3 or $4, and it breaks down to such a very, very...
Absolutely. And so if we pour opportunity, now see, I don't have to rob anybody, because I have a job that I go to, and I get paid, and they give me some money, and I can budget my money out, and I don't have to take from you because I've got some of my own. So when we create jobs and create opportunities and education and all those things, then you bring up a community, and then that in itself eliminates the violence that we're seeing, because the violence is associated with not having or wanting more and not seeing other opportunities.
Good. That's a good point. That's a good, that if you look at the very, very bottom line in terms of all this violence, it really is aggressive attitudes toward either taking something from somebody or whatever. It's something like it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, if you know, if you had $1 million, then you wouldn't be robbing somebody for $2. You know, well, the fact of the matter is, some of them see no other way except to rob. And some of them see no other way except to sell drugs. And so when you get caught up into this lifestyle, it creates what I call unnecessary tears from a mother. Those unnecessary tears. And so what we have to do, Dr. Haney, is, first of all, what you've been doing your entire life, we've got to keep pushing education. I made it out of 2088 Charles D. Davis Boulevard. I made it out of that community because I had an opportunity to go to the University of Tennessee at Martin, and that opened up and created some doors. So we have to create education opportunities, and if not in college, through some type of apprenticeship, or some type of skill, some type of vocation, but you got to have something so you can be supported. It's going to take a person like Earl Jordan to keep hitting the drum of our consciousness, to keep saying to this community, not just when it's at the front of the newspaper, but this brother is talking with these mothers daily about this issue and these things that are going on, and it keeps it on the front burner, not on the back burner. When you look at the statistics of homicide in the African American community, it is at epidemic. It is horrific. It's an epidemic. It's horrific when you look at those numbers, and we have to continue to have these type of discussions on how we can improve and give opportunities to our community so we can decrease this violence in our community.
We got to make it happen. We got to make it happen.
And Brother Jordan, you tried on many occasions to try to convince those individuals who might be associated with this violence, the mothers and whatnot, to come out. How is that?
It's going good. I mean, the mothers want to be a part of something. I mean, for any mother to once again have to bury their child due to murder is horrific. You know, so they come out, and I guide them to speak out. That's part of their therapeutic tool that they use. But it's going good. You know, and I thank God that the mothers are willing to come out to give their testimony.
And Brother Stevenson, you have any final words? We've got about a minute before we end today.
Yeah, just want to again say thank you, Dr. Haney, for having this discussion. I want to thank Earl for all that he has done in our communities. He has been a foot soldier. And I want to challenge all of the other preachers and pastors in this city to join with us in this national effort to call an end to this violence in our communities.
You think that that if all of these other pastors become as conscious about this as a large number of individuals are becoming, that we can really fight this and win this thing?
Oh, absolutely. I think if the pastors and ministers in this city, if we just join hands and lift up a prayer and speak to our Lord and Savior. I think that with God, all things are possible if we come together and stand as one.
And I think this is a worthy enterprise that the two of you are involved in, and we're certainly glad that you came by to deal with this. And of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.